Ransim Jurgen was on Donze Be Lama Namla Gushan Sir. Okay, first of all, I would like to say welcome to all of you, and I am, as usual, happy to see everyone again, and happy to talk with you about this Dharma teaching today. And I also would like to say thank you to the Bodhicitta Sangha for all the help and support. Um, I'm also happy to know that you are taking interest in the mind training teachings like this. And thank you for coming and join us. These days, the whole world is connected, right? Therefore, we can see that respecting others and benefiting others is actually benefiting ourselves at the end. We usually think benefiting oneself versus benefiting others are two different things. And we think if we benefit others, we are going to lose something, but it's actually not like that. Benefiting others actually benefit oneself. And it is said in Buddhist teachings that there is not a single being who doesn't wish for happiness, but there are not many beings who actually know how to find happiness. So all these teachings and methods help us discover how to find happiness, how to create happiness in daily life, and share a common goal of helping people to become good human beings and lead a better life. That's the purpose receiving teachings and practicing Buddhism, right? Now, before we start, as usual, the teaching, as usual, please take a moment and correct your motivation. When your mind is engaged in a positive attitude and is engaged in meaningful activities through the practice of mind training teaching, then your negative habits will gradually separate from you. So it is important to focus on how to create positive thoughts and happiness in daily life. And happiness is about cultivating positive actions that bring peace, satisfaction, and joy. So do something each day that make you and make others happy, and accept challenges as opportunities for growth. Reduce time spent on this what do you call social media or news if they bring stress, anger, and fear. So studying Buddhism, as you know, basically is to study about your life and understand how to create happiness for everyone. That is the first reason we want to practice Dharma. Um, and the second reason we want to practice Dharma is because we have the potential to achieve enlightenment, attain liberation. So anyway, today I'm going to talk about one of the Atiśa's hot teacher teachings, which is advice to one of his best students called Sangpo in Tibetan name. Great master, Kadamba master Atiśa. Well, he's my one of my favorite teacher because his teachings, mind training teachings, amazing. So I choose one of this his teaching, the mind training teaching that one of his students, this Sangpo, requested, and he gave this teaching. So many of you know Atiśa, but Atiśa was born in Bengal, which is now part of India and Bangladesh. But he went to Tibet and lived in Tibet for about 17, 18 years, and he had a profound impact on the development of Tibetan Mahayana Buddhism, particularly through his teachings on the Bodhisattva path, which become fundamental between when he. There are lots of histories how he went to Tibet and how they invite. There are lots of. I'm not going to talk about that, but his teachings are, for Tibetan Buddhist practice and especially in Kadamba tradition. So therefore, Atiśa brought tremendous benefit to Buddhist practitioners in Tibet. And each time when we practice his teachings, especially his mind training teachings, we understand how important it is to generate bodhicitta. And according to the Kadamba's tradition, these instructions must be transmitted by someone who has great experiences of meditation on the bodhicitta, loving kindness, and compassion. So that's you should read Atiśa's history and biography. It's amazing. But now I'm going to start the text. So Atiśa, as I said, came to Tibet during the 11th century, around that time. He traveled different places throughout Tibet, but he lived in Ngari, near the Lhasa, that area. There is a monastery called Tangri Monastery, which is near the kind of border with Nepal. He lived there for I'm not sure exactly, but maybe around like 2 years, and gave a lot of Dharma teachings to his student, the Sangpo and also other Buddhist people, and let them practice mind training teachings and bodhicitta. And then Atiśa wanted to go back to India at the end of his life. And as he prepared to depart, during that time, his student, Sangpo, requested him to give some final teaching, advice. And Adisha said, I already gave lots of so many teachings and instructions. That is enough if you practice. But Shanshawat sort of insisted, please, this will be some very special final advice from you if you give it to us. And then, of course, Adisha gave this teaching. It's called Heart Teacher for the warrior who wishes for liberation. So after that, you know, Adisha couldn't live. At that time, there was a political problem between Tibet, Nepal, India. He couldn't live. And another reason he couldn't live was he was getting really old. After spending many years teaching in Tibet, and at the time of his arrival in Tibet, he was already in his like 60s, right? So he getting old, and then for these reasons, he couldn't return to India, and he spent his final years there, and then he passed away in this monastery, I think, in Tibet. But when he gave this teaching at that time, he really wanted to go back to India. That's why the student of his requested this teaching, which is really good, even though he couldn't go back. But now we have this teaching. So that's the how he gave this teaching to us. Now we have this amazing instruction, mind training. You can say this is mind training teaching. So now the text, uh, it says, how wondrous, dear friends of high knowledge and pure noble intent, though I, traveling and unintelligent man, am unfit to give you advice, precious supreme friends, more dear than my heart, you entreat me thus, and so I, this foolish little man, offer this advice to your noble men minds. So maybe I don't have the written translation. It doesn't matter. I read in Tibetan or not. So maybe let's just read these teachings in English. So you see in this verse, in the Tibetan and Indian traditions, teachers and speakers express deep respect for their audience, and teachers begin by sort of humbling themselves before offering teachings. He said, like here, unintelligent man, unfit to give you advice, all these things, this kind of words, right? Why do the great masters often humble themselves? This discourages arrogance and ego, because the more like Adisha, this kind of great masters learns, the more they recognize how much there still is to learn, because Buddhism is so vast and profound, and that they need to develop. And it also shows that humble bodhisattva masters don't have an ego problem. So the more a master learns, the more they recognize how much they don't know and how much others can help them to learn. And that leads to a deep respect for others. And as I said, bodhisattva masters don't have ego problem. Oh, I know this. I'm the great master. I'm the best. They never think that. They never say that. So they recognize respecting others is fundamental to sort of personal growth and harmony. And they also understand that respect creates an environment of trust, which is really essential for effective teachings and personal growth. So therefore, here in this verse, you can see Atiśa shares a deep respect for his Dharma students and remains humble, because it shows his wisdom and his pure intention. So he began by humbling himself before offering this amazing teaching. And that's why he said, dear friends of high knowledge, so on and so forth. So don't think that, oh, he said unintelligent and all these words, and maybe Atiśa is not good teacher. Don't think like that, okay? So there is a reason why, this great master, when they give teaching, or then when they talk and they just express deep respect for their students and audience like that. That's also like one. Also, like culture, like Tibetan Indian tradition, they like that. A little bit different in my point of view here, like in America, and sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm good about this," then they say it, "Oh, I'm really good at." But in Tibet, the culture, even though they're really good about, they don't say I'm good. I'm not good. They just kind of, that's maybe like culture, but it's not true. But that's just respect. They want to respect their student and like that. So that's that, right? And now the Adhya's first advice is, friends, until you reach awakening, you need a guru. So follow us, sublime spiritual friend. Okay. This is his first advice. Um, in the Buddhist path, as you know, following a spiritual friend is essential and really necessary until you reach awakening. That's what he said. Because the path to enlightenment can be complex. So follow a teacher who gives correct teachings to clarify misunderstandings and helps the student progress. That's so important. But these days in the West, I think there are many people who are practicing Buddhism without a teacher. They read books and they learn sort of, it's good, but without teacher, and Buddhism is a vast and profound and complex tradition, which many teachings and practice, there with many teachings and practice. So practicing Buddhism without teacher is is not good idea. And the only way to learn anything about Buddhism is to have a teacher who possess wisdom and compassion and shows you the way, and especially receiving oral transmission is important because it creates a pure connection with your practice. And the student receives the blessings of the lineage, which helps them understand the teachings without any mistakes. So in Buddhism, un, unbroken pure lineage is extremely important. Follow, because with a pure lineage, the student can develop authentic experiences and realizations of the teachings. But without a teacher, student will not get any transmissions. That's why Pater Rinpoche said there is not a single Buddha in the past and present who has achieved enlightenment without relying on a spiritual teacher. Therefore, we need to receive teachings from a good teacher and practice the instructions, because teacher provides direct guidance on how to properly understand and apply all these teachings. So therefore, Buddhist teachers can help us in many ways. And a teacher is one who has received proper training in a pure, unbroken lineage. Because of that, then whatever the student received the teachings from that kind of teacher, they're authentic, and you will receive pure transmission from that lineage. So a teacher can offer you uh, good advice, like here, but like Atiśa's teachings like this, based on your personal strengths and challenges. So a teacher can guide you through the challenges of ego and all these things. And a teacher can share insights and experience that can help you on your spiritual journey. And a teacher can help you remain motivated during periods of difficulty and can offer encouragement and help you stay committed to the practice and Dharma teachings. So finding a good teacher is important. And it is, I always say, the second step you need to take if you really wish and want to practice Buddhism and become a Buddhist practitioner. So, I always tell people in Buddhism, choosing a teacher is an important decision, because without proper guidance, it's easy to misunderstand your practice. So therefore, choosing a good teacher is a crucial decision. And in order to find a qualified teacher, first you need to careful investigation before committing to a teacher. So, the Buddha tells Ananda that having a spiritual friend is not just part of the path, it's the entirety of the path. So Buddha and later the Buddhist masters tell us how to find a qualified teacher. A qualified teacher should possess wisdom, a deep understanding of Dharma teachings, teach out of compassion, not look for personal gain, that kind of things. And so first, it is important to ensure that the teacher is part of an authentic, unbroken lineage. Very important. And also, teacher has received all the teachings that are necessary. That's first thing. And second thing is the best way to find a good teacher is you should attend their classes or retreats and experience their teachings because this will allow you to experiment their teaching style and how they connect with their students. And this teacher's guidance should help you develop more clarity, peace, wisdom, and positive changes in your daily life, all that kind of things, right? If you feel that teachings are helping you reduce your suffering, increase your mindfulness, develop compassion and bodhicitta, this is a really good sign. So you can have that teacher. You should never ever follow a teacher without investigation, especially these days, and without a good connection. That's very important. Another very important part to know is your spiritual growth in Buddhism can really take years, right? So finding a teacher who is available for ongoing support and offers teachings is also very important because you need help all the time because your spiritual growth really takes years. So finding a teacher and building a relationship with a teacher takes time. So there is no rush. There is no need to rush. The great master said, Bapta Rinpoche and Mappa Rinpoche, they said that before taking a teacher, you should examine them carefully, even for years and years, you know. One of the Bapta Rinpoche student investigate his teacher in 7 years. After 7 years, then he found his teacher. So it's so important, and this especially these days, it's just very difficult and dangerous. So finding a teacher is about finding someone who you feel a genuine connection, and once you find a qualified teacher, uh, um, through your examination investigation and then continuing to investigate that teacher can create obstacle. So if you keep judging the teacher with your with your whatever doubt in your mind, and you may never get a good connection and trust. It can block your spiritual growth. because sometimes, even a good teacher can make mistakes. So if doubt arise in your mind, it's okay to ask clarification respectfully and clarify your hesitation and keep a good connection. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda said in the beginning, skillfully examine the teacher in the beginning. And then when you find your teacher in the middle, skillfully follow the teacher. And Bhaktivinoda said, a disciple who does that is on the authentic path. So what I'm trying to say here is you should first find a teacher. You need really make sure that everything you need, and through your investigation. But once you have or you find a teacher, you should avoid examination after you previously investigated and choose a teacher, because it's not good if you continuously do that, right? So because that's so important. From my own experience, in my opinion, like first you have to investigate as much as you can, and then once you think this is good, this teacher is good, I want to follow him or her, then don't investigate. This is not good. So that's what I'm saying. So this is very, very important. That's why the Atiśa, the first he gave advice is he says, find until friends until you reach awakening, you need a guru. So follow a spiritual friend. So that's his advice. But in order to follow a spiritual friend, you just can't follow any teacher who is teacher or whatever is dangerous. So that's very important. Keep that in your mind. And then now the next part, the second advice is, Atiśa said, until you realize the natural state, you need to receive teachings. So listen to the instructions of the Guru. Mere knowledge of the Dharma would not lead to Buddhahood. It's not enough. So you must practice. So now, after you found your teacher through your investigation and your connection, you need to receive a lot of teachings. And especially, you need to listen to the instructions and keep practicing. In Buddhism, only receiving teachings and having just an intellectual understanding of Dharma teachings will not take you to liberation. That's why it says, until you realize the natural state. It refers to the awakened nature of the mind. So until you reach that sort of direct realization, you should rely on teachings and practicing them. It's because Buddhism emphasizes direct experience of the teachings in everyday life rather than just intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge can explain concepts like, impermanence, suffering, attachment, all that. But true understanding comes from direct experience through your practices and your meditation. So that's why Atiśa says here, just more knowledge is not enough. You must practice. So this is very important, and this is our main obstacle and problem for our spiritual growth. We think we know the Buddhist teachings. But for example, understanding the concept of attachment intellectually is one thing, and realizing it and having direct experience of it through meditation is totally different. True wisdom arises when we can directly experience how attachment creates suffering in our own life. And seeing suffering clearly through our own direct experience allows us to practice, which intellectual understanding alone cannot do. Intellectual understanding alone doesn't change this habit of emotions, such as attachment and, but practice does. So we must practice once we received the teachings. Dharma teachings are not just about intellectual things. I haven't said this many, many times, right? They're about changing the mind and heart. For example, you may understand the concept of bodhicitta intellectually, but true bodhicitta is cultivated through practice. Our selfish mind can only be overcome by direct cultivation of bodhicitta. So I can tell you this, if you think you understand the impermanence of life and you think, it makes you really uncomfortable when you think about it, that means you don't understand the impermanence of life. If you feel when you meditate on the impermanence of life and it brings you happiness, satisfaction, and non-attachment, that is a good sign of impermanence meditation. You are not just understanding intellectually. So in Buddhism, intellectual understanding is an essential first step, right? But it must be like, how do I say, put them into your practice and direct experience, like meditation, So Dharma must be realized through practice and leading to deep inner change of our mind. So the true transformation requires applying these teachings in our daily life and meditation practice. That's why Atiśa said, you must practice the Dharma teachings. Okay? So important. Now, the next teaching, the third advice is, he said, avoid places that disturb your mind and always stay in places that increase virtue until you gain stability. Distractions and bustle is detrimental. So staying in a solitary place. So Atiśa says, if you want to develop your practice, choose your environment carefully as part of your practice, right? This you can see the order in these stages. It's first you have to find a good teacher, then you have to receive a lot of teachings, then you put them into your practice. But in order to practice, like genuinely, you have to find a good place. Choose your environment, part of your practice. So if your mind is not yet stable, it's important to avoid a place that is detrimental to your practice, such as crowded cities or places filled with distractions. It will be very difficult to cultivate mindfulness and your inner peace in this kind of environment and places. And also places that have constant sort of conflict and disharmony can disrupt the mind and prevent your spiritual growth, spiritual progress. And places where people engage in harmful actions, encourage like gossip or have, intense competition, etc. These places can make it harder for a practitioner to maintain their practice, their meditation. So therefore, you see, a lot of Buddhist practitioners stay in solitude, right? Quiet places until they developed their, mind like stability. This doesn't mean you must retreat entirely from your home and from your society. But if you are a beginner and really want to develop your practice, then Atiśa advises you should choose a place that supports your spiritual goal and avoid a place that is detrimental to your practice. So that's why it will be good for your practice if you do a retreat once a month or 3 times a year or whatever you can. Just staying away from this busy world of attachment will be really good for you, right? So that's just keep in mind. If you really want to practice, this advice is so profound and valuable. Just keep these teachings in your mind. And then now the fourth advice is, Atiśa said, avoid companions who stir up the afflictions. Take company with those who encourage virtue. Keep that in your mind. The Buddha advised avoiding people who encourage negative actions. That's why Buddha create a sangha, after he became enlightened. He created sangha, different places, right? That's why he said, avoid people who encourage negative action because they can influence us in negative ways. For example, some people, encourage actions like killing, gossiping, stealing, or harmful behaviors. Those who are focused on only worldly life, have too much attachment, are constantly angry, resentful, or full of hatred, or unkind, selfish people, can be a bad influence. So if you keep this kind of company, it will be difficult to maintain your practice and self-improvement, because we are beginner, practitioner. It's easy to change our conduct with this kind of people. And spending time in such company can change and take away your good qualities. And being around these kind of people can pull you away from your goal. And spending time with people who are very lazy, those who engaged in, divisive talk, can increase negative emotions, all that kind of thing, right? So Buddha encouraged surrounding yourself with wise, virtuous, kind, compassionate people. My teachers always say these things. Those who support good conduct, inspire, encourage inner growth, what we call spiritual friends. And they are considered essential in a practitioner's journey. That's why Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is so important. And they provide guidance and help you stay on the right path. Spending time with a spiritual friend makes you meditate. They can share their experiences, help you improve your meditation practice, and you know, surrounding yourself with people who are happy, peaceful, positive, emotionally stable, and able to handle difficult situations is beneficial. It's really big thing. People who help others without expecting anything in return, which is a loving person. People who create harmony, spiritual development are good influence. And being around people who are dedicated to their practice really can inspire and motivate you to maintain your own commitment. So therefore, meditation groups, good people, Dharma study groups, and practicing together is wonderful and is important. And being in the presence of spiritual friends makes it easier for you to practice, and it strengthens your meditation practice and inspires you on your path towards enlightenment. So therefore, keeping good company has a profound impact on a practitioner's development and well-being. My teachers always say that please avoid negative people if you are a beginner. If you are not beginner, doesn't matter. Yeah, basically, if you are not beginner, then you have to actually spending time with negative people so that you can help and they can change your good qualities. So you have to communicate with negative people so that you can help skillfully and change their behaviors. But if you are a beginner, we have to avoid negative people because it's dangerous. So my teachers always say, associate with wise, and you will be wise. Associate with foolish, you will be foolish. Associate with the lazy, you will lazy. Associate with smokers, for example, you will become a smoker. Associate with a drinker, you will, all these things. So if you are a beginner, I'm not saying that you are a beginner, but you know where you are. So if you're a beginner, please avoid negative people as much as you can and associate with good people because therefore we call spiritual friends. They're kind of like your teacher. So that's very, very important. That's keep this great master Atiśa's advice, okay, in your mind. Um, Now we're going to meditate a little bit here, okay? Meditate a little bit and then take a break. So when you meditate, first you have to pay attention to to get in the proper causes and conditions to support meditation, right? So that is a sitting comfortable posture and relax your mind and body. Take a few deep breaths to settle into the present moment and try to let go of any expectations about the meditation. Allow your mind to rest naturally without forcing thoughts. If thoughts and emotion arise, simply recognize them as uh, movements within your awareness and let them pass and dissolve naturally. Uh, your awareness itself is always present, open, and clear, even as experiencing changes. If distractions arise, gently return to the recognition of the nature of your awareness and just relax there as long as you can. Okay, so we'll meditate on a little bit on this awareness that we have this great, profound, how can I explain this? Vast, this quality, the nature of mind, the awareness. Just relax there for maybe 5 minutes and then take a break, okay?